Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alright, so we've all seen it. We've all seen the propaganda wave coming out of the left-wing media. They're trying to rewrite history, or more specifically, they're trying to rewrite Kamala Harris's history. All of a sudden, Kamala Harris is a brand new woman. She's the very best with an unimpeachable record. Yeah, where did that come from? That's the question I'm asking myself. You know, just in a matter of months, we went from CNN declaring Kamala Harris the worst vice president ever, that's basically sabotaging Joe Biden's ability to get reelected. We went so quickly from that to now I guess Kamala Harris is Obama version 2.0, just a different gender. Well, it's an interesting strategy, I'll give them that. It's the neutralizer from Men in Black that wipes your memory, or some sort of wacky attempt at Star Wars trickery using the Force. You will forget everything that you knew about Kamala Harris. She is reborn as the greatest thing ever. Well, you tried it, nice try, Democrats. But let's just interject with reality for a little bit, shall we? Let's do a walk through memory lane and have a conversation about who Kamala Harris really is as a candidate, as a politician. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so let's just not waste any time. We're currently living through a cost of living crisis. People are concerned about making ends meet. I'm sure what's on a lot of people's mind is maybe getting a tax break, easing the bureaucratic burden and letting people get back on their feet. Well, where does Kamala Harris stand on taxes?
So these are some of the ways, but we've got to increase the corporate tax rate. We also have to increase taxes for the top 1%. And that part of that is going to be about repealing that tax bill that they just passed. And also looking at estate taxes are going to have to go up.
Yeah, she's pretty much as far left as they come. Arguing for increased personal taxes, corporate taxes, estate taxes, I mean, you name it, she wants to tax it. Kamala Harris is the most far left of liberal. In fact, she was rated as such. In 2019, she was rated the most liberal senator by GovTrack, but of course they deleted that part from their website.
Vice President Harris, in 2019, GovTrack, which covers legislation and voting records, referred to then Senator Kamala Harris as that year's most liberal senator.
Absolutely freaking pathetic. Kamala Harris is as far left as they come. Now, of course, that tends to not be so popular in a general election setting. Usually that's only in vogue during the Democrat primary process, where you need to appeal to green-haired, fuzzy armpit, septum-ringed leftoids. Then, of course, toning it down during the general, you know, most people don't want a far-left socialist as the next president of the United States. And of course, Democrats have been running away from that label. But I don't know, what I'm seeing here is pretty leftist. In fact, I think it might even go beyond that, probably into the territory of Marxist. Here's Kamala Harris going on the record, claiming that she's not for equality, no, she's for equity, forcing outcomes through the power of government.
It has to be about a goal of saying everybody should end up in the same place. And since we didn't start in the same place, some folks might need more. Equitable distribution. Giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. We are proud of the fact that equity is one of our guiding principles. Proud of the fact that we understand equality is important, but not everybody starts out on the same base.
Not only is Kamala Harris left-wing, Kamala Harris is a borderline communist. And not in the hyperbolic sense, oh, she's a communist. No, a literal communist. This is Marxism, and we simply cannot let the leftist media bury this stuff, because that's exactly what the leftist media is trying to do. They're trying to bury the truth with their totally absurd fake news fact checks. Here's WCCO, CBS News, Minnesota. Trump falsely accuses Harris of donating to Minnesota Freedom Fund, bailing out dangerous criminals. What a ridiculous claim, especially coming from WCCO, considering these clowns back in 2022 literally asked her about it.
I want to ask you, the Minnesota GOP is holding a press conference this afternoon to criticize you for your support a couple of years ago, before you were the vice president, for something called the Minnesota Freedom Fund that was really set up to help those who were arrested in the aftermath of the George Floyd riots, help them get out. It's since been sort of morphed into something else and has been used to help people get out who've been accused of many other crimes. Do you have any thoughts about this?
Well, first of all, I am a child of parents who marched for civil rights in the 1960s in America. And I have always been and will always be a supporter of peaceful protests.
Many peaceful protests over the history of our country have led to an expansion of rights and an expansion of civil rights. So that's where I stand on peaceful protest.
Now, of course, it's another fake news semantics fact check. She didn't actually donate to the fund. No, she just promoted it on her Twitter. Absolutely idiotic. That's essentially the same thing. When you promote something as an influencer, or as a politician, celebrity, or public individual, let's say you're sponsored by a company and you're promoting said company and then a bunch of people go and buy it, you're contributing to that company in some form of value, even if you're not giving them money, literally, by PayPaling them $500. In fact, you're probably doing more with that influence than you would actually personally donating. But of course, they think we're stupid and don't understand that. And now they think we're stupid enough to believe that Kamala Harris is a moderate who's going to be the right person for the job when it comes to fixing all of these problems. Yeah, except for most of these problems are caused by Kamala Harris. She's the border czar, and look at the chaos she's created at the southern border. What's the idea now? Vote for Kamala Harris to fix the southern border? Or no, how about vote for Kamala Harris to fix the economy and the inflation issue? Yeah, you mean Kamala Harris, who in many cases was the key vote behind a lot of this massive inflation-triggering spending. She's the vice president who comes in and breaks the tie, allowing all the inflationary spending to run rampant. Yeah, vote for Kamala Harris to fix inflation.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
What's the next argument? Vote for Kamala Harris to fix the crime issue? Top cop Kamala Harris, hey, she was a prosecutor. She's gonna take care of the crime issue. Yeah, only one problem with that. She was the top cop prosecutor in San Francisco. Kamala Harris, the top cop, wants to defund the police.
So then, if you're for overhauling, where do you stand on defund the police?
Look, right. So here's the thing. Defund the police. The issue behind it is that we need to reimagine how we are creating safety. And when you have many cities that have 1/3 of their entire city budget focused on policing, we know that is not the smart way and the best way or the right way to achieve safety. For too long, the status quo thinking has been you get more safety by putting more cops on the street. Well, that's wrong.
Kamala Harris, the top cop, is totally okay with San Francisco's, in my view, unconstitutional sanctuary city status.
What is your position on San Francisco as a sanctuary city?
I support our sanctuary law, and I also recognize that we got to a place that became highly publicized where we strayed from it, and so we needed to get back on track.
Yeah, top cop Kamala Harris is going to clean up the streets by getting rid of cash bail.
I've been a leader in the United States Senate on what we need to do to get rid of the cash bail system in America. And why? Because I know the system from the inside. And I know that when we are talking about the issue of bail, the fact is that there are people sitting in jail every day in America for days, weeks, months, even years, waiting to go to trial simply because they can't afford to pay the money to bail out.
Give me a frickin' break, please. Kamala Harris is going to take care of the illegal migrant crisis. Yeah, no, Kamala Harris thinks that ICE is the KKK.
Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between
I'm talking about perception.
Officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
That puts ICE in the same category as the KKK. Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, you thought I was kidding, didn't you? Excuse me, fact check. Yeah, Kamala was just talking about a perception that ICE is the KKK. All right, sure. We know what Kamala Harris is on the issue of illegal migration.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal, and we have to correct course in this conversation.
We know that she's as far left as they come, and she would simply be a disaster for the country. I mean, she's a bad combination, be a recipe for disaster. She's a total far-left socialist, pro-crime, pro-open border, economically illiterate, run the debt up to infinity and friggin' beyond. She's all that, and, well, she's rather incompetent.
So the United States
shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. And it is an alliance that is strong and enduring. And today, there were several demonstrations of just that point. We're looking at over 220 million Americans who just in the last several months died. We are in the midst of a public health epidemic that has taken the lives of over 220 million Americans in just the last several months.
That right there is a recipe for disaster, especially if that person happens to be a politician who's totally full of themselves and who happens to be hell-bent on power. That is Kamala Harris, the politician, and trust me, that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. I didn't even bother to go into her prosecutorial record or her legislative record, so it's actually even worse than portrayed here. That's who Kamala Harris is, but the media is trying to gaslight you into thinking that Kamala Harris is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Give me a break, not buying it, won't let them rewrite history. She sucks, game over.